I was murdered by my best friend's fiancé, only to discover she used me as a scapegoat. I froze the moment I saw him step off the shuttle, his eyes dark, a glint of something dangerous in his hand. My chest tightened, not because I was scared of him, but because I already knew what was coming. Years of instinct screamed at me, but my mind refused to let me run. I'm Clara, and I had seen this before. In my past life, I let my so-called friend hide in my dorm when he showed up angry. I thought I was protecting her, but she pushed me aside and he stabbed me over 10 times. As I lay bleeding, gasping for life, she just watched. She didn't care. I swore then, in the slow, awful moments of my dying, that if I ever got a second chance, I wouldn't make the same mistake. And now I had. She was flirting with him again. The same violent, volatile man. My friend, smiling as she gave him a slip of paper with my number on it. My blood ran cold as I realized the truth. In the last life, I had blamed him for chasing me, but she had pursued him from the start. Every lie I told myself, every excuse I'd made for her fell away in an instant. Clara, she said, waving at me with that shameless grin. I gave him your number. Make sure you forward any call from him, okay? That was it. Something inside me snapped. I walked over and slapped her, hard enough to sting. Are you kidding me? I hissed. Giving him my number? Using me to shield yourself while flirting like this? Have you no shame? I ripped the paper from his hand, and immediately every passenger was staring at her. Whispers turned into accusations, loose, manipulative, using her job to flirt with rich strangers. She stomped her foot in fury. I didn't care. This time, I wouldn't be the victim. He stood up suddenly, anger written all over his face. It's not her fault, he growled, looking at her, then turned to me. You embarrassed her in front of everyone. He grabbed my collar. I didn't flinch. I looked him dead in the eye. If she liked you, I said calmly, why did she write down my number instead? She wanted all the benefits while I took all the risks. For the first time, I saw her clearly, not just flirtatious, not just reckless, but a traitor. The passenger's judgment crushed her, and she ran off, humiliated. He turned toward me, furious, ready to lash out, but I leaned close and whispered, she just wanted to see if you'd stand up for her. He froze. Loyalty test. Of course. And in that moment, I finally understood him. I wrote her number on a new slip, slipped it into his pocket, and walked away. The next day, he arrived in a luxury car, bouquet in hand, kneeling in front of everyone to propose. She said yes without thinking. 3 days later, she returned, bruised and swollen, begging me to help her call the police. I remembered what happened last time. I knew she would betray me again, just as she had then. She already had. So I turned on my own recorder and stayed quiet, refusing to help. Why aren't you helping me? She cried. I slapped her again, quietly, firmly. You deserve this. Every new city, every new boyfriend, you cheat and blame them for hitting you. Now, maybe you'll finally see she tried to involve others, a roommate, even the police, but I stopped them. I wouldn't let her pass the risk onto anyone else. Her fight was hers alone, and I wouldn't repeat my past mistake. And then, just as the man's voice called out from the hallway, demanding to see her, I took a deep breath. My heart pounded, but this time I wasn't afraid. I was ready. Because I had survived once, and I would survive again, this time on my own terms. I heard the heavy thud of his boots on the floor, each step echoing through the apartment like a drum. My friend was crouched in the closet, trembling so hard I thought she might shatter. And there he was, right outside, voice low and dangerous. You better come out, he growled, and I could hear the anger in every syllable. I know you're hiding. Don't make this harder than it has to be. I stayed calm, even as my heart hammered. I didn't flinch. My hand rested lightly on the doorframe, my mind racing. This was the moment I'd been preparing for since I woke up in this second life. To face him without fear, to make sure my so-called friend faced the consequences of her choices. She whimpered from the closet, Clara, please help me. I clenched my jaw. I remembered the cold, sharp sting of the past life, the way I'd died protecting someone undeserving. Not this time. I could help, but only if it was real help, not shielding her from her own recklessness. I heard him pacing outside the apartment, low growls vibrating through the walls. She was crouched on the floor, hugging her knees, trembling, her sobs quiet but relentless. Every now and then, his voice would cut through, soft, coaxing, but loaded with menace. You can't run from me, he said. You belong to me. She whimpered, covering her face. I felt a flicker of something, old pity, the reflex that had killed me once, but I crushed it down. Not this time. I couldn't save her from herself. She tried crawling toward the phone, dialing anyone she thought could rescue her. I saw her hand shake so violently that she dropped it. Each attempt ended with him leaning over her, whispering threats and forcing her back into the corner. I knelt quietly by the doorway watching, breathing slow, steady. My heart beat fast, but my mind was ice. In my past life, I had barged in, begged, shielded, and paid the price with my blood. Now I stayed back. I wasn't responsible. She had chosen this path, and every misstep, every mistake, every flirtatious lie she spun had led her here. Minutes, or was it hours, passed. She murmured my name between shivering sobs. Clara, please. I swallowed, my throat tight, but my voice remained calm. This is where your choices lead. You can't blame anyone but yourself. She looked at me with wide, desperate eyes, hope flickering and dying in seconds. You won't help me? I shook my head slowly. I'm not saving you, not this time. The man's voice rose behind her again. She flinched, curling into herself, miserable, powerless. And I realized something that burned through me with quiet fury. She wasn't afraid of him. She was afraid of reality, afraid of facing the consequences she had spent a lifetime dodging, afraid of the truth I had been willing to see from the beginning. I sat against the wall, watching her misery, listening to the pacing, the low growls, the sobs that didn't stop. For the first time in my life, I felt neither fear nor guilt. I felt clarity. She had asked for my help, but what she really wanted was a safety net for her mistakes. And this time I refused to be that net. I opened the door slowly, deliberately, keeping my movements calm. He froze, surprised, his furious gaze snapping to me. This is her decision, I said softly, my voice steady. You can't blame her, or me, for what she did. She's hiding, yes, but she chose her path just like I'm choosing mine. He paused, his fury mixing with confusion. Clara, why? I won't protect her from herself, I said. Not this time. He stared at me, chest heaving, and for a moment, I saw it. The respect beneath the rage. The recognition that I wasn't afraid. That I wouldn't be manipulated. Then he took a slow breath, and instead of bursting into anger, he turned his eyes toward my friend's hiding spot. Come out, he said, his voice lower, almost controlled. We need to talk. You made a mess. Own it. She hesitated, the weight of her choices finally pressing down on her. I watched, silent, knowing this time I'd let reality, not fear, decide the outcome. I stayed beside the doorway, ready, calm, alive. And for the first time, I felt no trace of the helplessness that had haunted me in my past life. Because this time I wasn't just surviving, I was in control. She finally stepped out of the closet, knees shaking so badly she had to brace herself against the wall. Her makeup was smeared, her face pale, eyes darting everywhere except at him. For a second, the hallway went completely silent. Then he laughed. It wasn't loud, it wasn't wild. It was worse, flat and cold, like something inside him had snapped into place. So this is how you play it, he said, voice calm but vibrating with anger. Hiding, lying, getting other people involved. She rushed toward him, hands raised. It's not what you think. They don't understand you. Clara doesn't understand you. I felt my stomach twist. Even now she was trying to push the blame onto me. He turned his head slightly and looked at me. You understand me? I met his gaze. I understand patterns, I said. And I understand when someone keeps lighting fires and then screaming when they get burned. His jaw clenched. He turned back to her. You went through my phone. You were cheating, she screamed, desperation spilling out. I was going to marry you. I just wanted security. There it was, not love, not fear, security. Something dark passed through his eyes. So you flirt with anyone who looks at you. You let men think you're available. And when I react, suddenly I'm the monster. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. I realized then this wasn't the man I feared in my past life. He was still dangerous, still volatile, but now I saw the full picture. He wasn't chasing random women. He was reacting to chaos she created and then pretending she was innocent. That didn't excuse him. Violence never does. But it explained everything. You said you loved me, he continued, stepping closer. You said I was different. She backed away, eyes wild. You are different. You're just misunderstood. No, he snapped. I was useful. The word hit her harder than any slap. I stayed where I was, heart pounding but mind clear. This was the moment where, in my last life, I'd stepped in. Where I'd begged. Where I'd tried to save her. This time I said nothing. Clara, she cried out, her voice breaking. Please, help me. I swallowed hard, my hands balling into fists at my sides. I could see every mistake she had ever made, every flirt, every lie, every reckless choice that had led her to this moment. And I realized something that solidified my resolve. She wasn't begging for help because she cared about me. She was begging to avoid the consequences she had earned. I let her be dragged. The door slammed behind them, the apartment echoing with silence. I stayed where I was, listening to the fading sounds of her cries, the distant thud of his boots, the quiet weight of reality settling over the space. No fear, no guilt, just clarity. I had survived. And this time, I wasn't going to die for her mistakes. The apartment was silent. Just me, the faint hum of the air conditioner, and the weight of what had just happened. I sank onto the edge of the couch, hands wrapped around my knees, staring at the spot where she had been. Part of me ached, the part that remembered how I had died once, trusting the wrong person. But another part was calm, sharper than ever. I had survived. I had finally broken the cycle. I thought about her screams, the way she had clawed at the floor, the way he had dragged her away, and I realized something quietly, almost painfully. She had wanted someone to protect her, to shield her from the consequences she had chosen. But I wasn't going to be that person. I couldn't. I wouldn't. Not this time. I leaned back, exhaling slowly. The fear that had haunted me in my past life, the helplessness, was gone. In its place was clarity. I didn't need anyone to validate me. I didn't need to risk my life to save someone who had never valued it. I thought about the future, about the life I could live without her lies, without the constant tension, without the looming threat of chaos she carried. I could walk away from this, truly walk away, and no one could touch me. Days later, the truth reached me. She had murdered her fiancé, and now she was in prison, facing the consequences she had spent her life avoiding. Her name flashed across the screen. The charges, murder, her fiancé. My mind replayed everything I had seen, everything I had known, everything she had brought on herself. And suddenly, it all made sense. The lies, the manipulation, the way she had thrown me into danger, the way she had blamed everyone but herself. She had finally gone too far. I leaned back in my chair, hands folded calmly over my lap. Part of me wanted to feel vindicated, but that wasn't it. I didn't celebrate. I just watched the truth settle over her, like a heavy, unyielding weight. I thought about the second life I had been given, about all the chances I had to act differently, to survive, to protect myself. I had done that. Every choice I made had been mine, every risk calculated, every boundary respected. And for the first time, I felt peace. I remembered her voice, trembling and desperate, begging me for help. And now she was alone, locked away, facing consequences she had spent a lifetime avoiding. I closed the laptop quietly. Outside, the world went on. People laughed, cars honked, planes soared overhead. And I stepped out onto my balcony, feeling the cold night air against my skin. I didn't feel relief. I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt free. Free from the weight of her lies, free from the constant danger she had dragged into my life, free from the cycle I had once been trapped in. I took a deep breath and let it fill me, feeling the city alive around me, the world moving forward without me caught in her chaos. I had survived the nightmare, and now I could truly live my life on my own terms. She had her consequences, I had my peace. I wasn't afraid anymore. I wasn't haunted anymore. I had survived the nightmare of my past life, and this time I had walked away unbroken. The ending wasn't about revenge, it wasn't about justice, it was about freedom, mine. And for the first time, I smiled. Truly, quietly, freely. And for the first time, I walked forward unafraid. The city stretched before me, endless and alive. I smiled once, small and steady, and let the sunlight warm my face. My life was mine. Finally, the end. Thank you for watching. Please hit subscribe and like if you like these video.